Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Tuesday, May 7, 2024, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. North Carolina Republicans are targeting sheriffs to force them to work with ICE. Why? Because they didn't like how black sheriffs who got elected responded. We will talk with Mecklenburg County Sheriff right here about why he does not want to help ICE round up migrants. The Ohio officer who shot a black man carrying a fake gun has lost his job, but not for shooting the teen. The Atlanta City Council unanimously approved a multi-million-dollar settlement in the death of a church deacon who died last year after being tased by a now-fired Atlanta cop. And as you know, I was in Detroit yesterday with Vice President Kamala Harris on the second leg of her economic opportunity tour. Tonight, we'll recap what took place, but also break down for you exactly what the Biden-Harris administration has done and how it has impacted African Americans. Also, in tonight's HBCU Connect segment, I chat with the president of Wilberforce University, where I gave the commencement speech on Saturday. Also, FAMU, a lot of questions surrounding the $237 million gift they received. The vice chair of the board is calling for an emergency meeting to get more details. Plus, Texas Southern University has a new president. Folks, it's time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
This is what happens when Republicans have a supermajority in the legislature. In North Carolina, they are pushing through a bill that will require sheriffs to work with federal immigration officials. The bill cleared the House in 2023 and would require sheriffs to check the immigration status of people charged with felonies or serious misdemeanors. It stalled in the Senate last year, but the Chamber's Judiciary Committee recently approved it. A full Senate vote could come later this week. Democratic sheriffs in the state say it's more harmful to public safety if they work with immigration and customs enforcement agents. Gary McFadden is the sheriff in Mecklenburg County. He's been quite vocal about his opposition to helping ICE. He joins us now from Charlotte. Sheriff McFadden, glad to have you here. So first, for you, what is the main reason why you do not want to work alongside or help ICE?
Well, let me first explain. Thank you so much, my brother, for having me. We do cooperate with ICE. Here's what happens. North Carolina General Statute 162.62 mandates every sheriff in North Carolina to work with ICE. So we actually do. We contact them. We tell them where the individual is, but the last one hurts them. We cannot hold someone in custody after a judge signs an order for us to release them. So they just don't like the last part of that law that mandates every sheriff in North Carolina to work with ICE. And so a detainer is not signed by a judicial official and have no probable cause. A detainer is simply a document that an ICE agent signs with no authorization from any judicial official to hold that person in custody. So the previous sheriff left that on the table. We got sued. We paid $80,000 to get out of that lawsuit, which we did not win. But then we're going to ask them, why don't you implement two laws that ICE has on the books, but simply that they want because they want to put the burden on the sheriff? But we are mandated by law to cooperate with ICE to a certain point.
So, again, what you had, this is a perfect example of how Republicans don't really like local control for things that they don't agree with. And so you are duly elected by the voters in Mecklenburg County.
The first black sheriff in Mecklenburg County.
And when you run, you explain to the public how it was you were going to govern in the county. Here you have Republicans saying, yeah, we don't like the choices that you're making, which the voters approve, so now we're going to force you to do our bidding.
And that's what they're doing. They actually call us the woke sheriffs. And of course, I had to come back with that. And so they dance around it. I said, why don't y'all talk about the black sheriff? Because 8 black sheriffs took over the entire state of North Carolina in one election. We did not know each other at the time, but we came together. And of course, they have picked one of us two off. But the majority of us are still here running the largest cities in North Carolina. And my city is the largest.
Let's just be real clear. It's some other words they want to use when they say woke.
Well, they said, they'll tell you that I was at a meeting and somebody said, and I said, if you say it, do not turn your head. And of course, they asked us to leave the meeting, and we did, but we were still outside saying what we want to say. The issue is that Black America has to stand up for Black America, and if they don't, we are going to be bamboozled as we've always been. I'm not afraid. And that's something that they have never seen, and I don't fear anyone. And I speak vocally about this, and I will continue to speak vocally about it. They didn't like when we do not call my detention center a jail. We call it a detention center, and I do not call the people who are housing my facility inmates. They are the residents. So things like that, they just don't like. The good old boys just don't like what we're saying and what we're doing, and so they gather their troops together to push us down our throat.
So, you just described something that took place. You lost money.
Oh, yes,
and
sir.
so, and again, and correct me if I'm wrong, did the state send you 80 grand to cover the bill?
Absolutely not. See, here's why this is so important. Even though when ICE puts this detainer, thank you, my brother, because we have to educate America. Well, give people knowledge. If they bring this person in on a detainer, if something happens in my facility, the judge is going to say, who authorized that person to be there? Not a judicial official. A judicial official is telling me to release this guy, and you are telling me to hold the guy. And so when we get sued, we'll bow ourselves again.
But I thought these people call themselves fiscal conservatives.
They say that. See, we can't live in fear anymore. And when we're talking about these positions, see, most of the people do not know this. The sheriff in every county, in every state, is the highest elected official. Not the mayor, not the city council, not the alderman. The sheriff is the highly elected official because he's elected by the people. Once we start teaching the people that, this is why you see more black sheriffs in Georgia, more black sheriffs in North Carolina, and of course, there are going to be more black sheriffs around the country because all of a sudden, most of the people realize where the power of judicial officials are, and that's with a duly elected sheriff.
So this likely is going to pass.
It's going to pass.
And then what's going to happen next? Do you, because this is, I mean, the county, frankly, as a duly elected person, I mean, what, do you plan on suing the state?
Well, somebody's going to probably sue the state, and somebody's going to sue us. We're going to get sued. No doubt about it, we're going to be sued. And then who's going to pick up that bill? I am on social media every day trying to make people understand this. You can let this happen if you want to, but the cities and counties that this happens in, you're going to pay the burden. You're going to be left with holding the baby, paying for the baby, and clothing and housing the baby. And that's what you're going to have to be doing.
You aren't the only black sheriff in the state, but it seemed as if what's happening in North Carolina, the targeting of black sheriffs, same thing we see in Florida, the targeting of black district attorneys.
Absolutely.
Again, they call progressive, they call woke, they want what they really want, they want the old boy law and order, lock them up, throw away the key, treat them like crap, as opposed to treating people like human beings.
Humanity. Inside my jail, we have a culinary school. We don't say jail. We have a culinary school. We have a barber school. Here last week, I graduated. Now, I know this sounds crazy. We have a business school called the Next Great 50. We have men and women with LLCs leaving here with a better credit score than they came in. I'm simply making our returning citizen better than they came. That's not what they want. They still want to hold us under the thumb of them. Let's make it clear. And so when they're talking about them and those and the woke, they're talking about the black sheriffs. And we have to wake up to that. They're talking about the black sheriff, and they are targeting us. And and I'll send you the news article. Sitting at this table in Lexington, North Carolina, in August of 2022, they openly said their number one priority is to make those sheriffs do what we asked them to do. Now, who's sitting around that table? Not one African-American sheriff. And who's sitting around that table? Local white sheriffs and white Republicans. And so they are open about it, but we are still sitting back nervous and scared to say what we want to say. We have to be bold, powerful, and black at the same time and live not in fear. We are fearful to say what's on our mind. We'll whisper at the church, we'll whisper in the car, we'll whisper at the social gathering. But when this happens on November 5th and all the other stuff happened on November 5th, America will change.
We got to be bold, powerful, and black. I couldn't have said it better myself.
That's it. Well, we thank you all.
Sheriff, I appreciate it. And look, one of the reasons...
I'll drink to you on that one.
Well, see right there. See, you were doing just fine there. See,
I just had, my throat got, itchy. I just needed some water.
You were doing just fine there. See, Larry Walker, one of our panelists, he's a fellow Alpha brother. I don't know why they start this, Larry, but I don't know why they do that, but Sheriff, just in case you forgot.
I understand. You are the beginning. Listen to what I'm saying. We understand the beginning. But the beginning has happened.
Jesus, Jesus was an alpha. Just want to let you know. Don't start that. See, Sheriff, you were doing just fine. But see, you and Megan's always got to be extra. You always got to be a little extra. And see, you were doing just fine. You were getting a rating of 10 out of 10. And then all of a sudden...
Can I get the 9 back? I mean, and even if I get a 9, it'll be an upside down 6, and then we talk about 06. So I can't win.
Okay, see, you trying to get out that hole right now. See, I'm gonna have to put you in solitary confinement.
No, so, please. You know what? And listen, and you know what? You know what brand of tie this is?
What's that?
Verse 9. I just want you to know that this is a verse 9 time, so don't play with me. Just letting you know.
It's for everybody. For everybody who's watching, I had a line of ties, ascots, and bow ties with verse 9. So the sheriff trying to get some brownie points right now.
No. I've been buying ties from Marty since he was selling out the trunk of the car. So, I mean, I understand. But, brother,
all right.
I'm here for you. But
well, I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Keep us abreast on what's going on, and we'll keep sounding the alarm.
God bless you, brother. Stay black, stay bold.
All day. I appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. All right, y'all. We're going to go to a break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered, led by an alpha on the Black Star Network. A lot of y'all have been asking me about the pocket squares that we have available on our website. You see me rocking the Shibori pocket square right here. It's all about looking different. And look, summertime is coming up. Y'all know, I keep trying to tell fellas, change your look, please. You can't wear athletic shoes every damn wear. So if you're putting on linen suits, if you're putting on some summer suits, have a whole different look. The reason I like this particular pocket square, the Shibori, is because it's sort of like a flower and looks pretty cool here versus the traditional boring silk pocket squares. But also I like being a little different as well. So this is why we have these custom-made feather pocket squares on the website as well. My sister actually designed these after a few years ago. I was in this battle with Steve Harvey at Essence, and I saw this at a St. Jude fundraiser. I saw this feather pocket square, and I said, well, I got some ideas. So I hit her, and she sent me about 30 different ones. And so this completely changes your look. Now, some of you men out there, I had some dudes say, oh, man, I can't wear that. Well, if you ain't got swagger, that's not my problem. But if you're looking for something different to spruce up your look, fellas, ladies, if y'all looking to get your man a good gift, I've run into brothers all across the country with the feather pocket squares saying, see, check mine out. And so it's always good to see them. And so this is what you do. Go to RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. You can order Shibori pocket squares or the custom-made pocket squares. Now, for the Shiboris, we're out of a lot of the different colors, and I think we're down to about 200 or 300. So you want to get your order in as soon as you can, because here's what happened. I got these several years ago, and the Japanese company signed a deal with another company, and I bought them before they signed that deal, and so I can't get access to any more from the company in Japan that makes them. And so get yours now. So come summertime, when I see y'all at Essence, y'all could be looking fly with the Shibori pocket square or the custom-made pocket square. Again, RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. Go there now.
What's up, y'all? This is Wendell Haskins, a.k.a. Win Hogan at the original T Golf Classic. And you know I watch Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, introducing my panel. Randy Bryant, DEI disruptor, coming out of Washington, D.C. Dr. Larry J. Walker, assistant professor, University of Central Florida, out of Orlando. Glad to have both of you. Larry, I'm going to start with you. You've seen this up close and personal there in Florida. And this is what happens when Republicans get control. They literally are trying to shove policies down the throats of locally elected Democrats because they don't believe in local control. They believe in absolute power.
Yeah, Roland, and we've talked in your show a lot about this idea. Historically, Republicans talk about local control, but you're absolutely right. I mean, this highlights you talked about here in the state of Florida, and I'm here in Orange County, and we've seen the situation in terms you talk about with DAs being removed by the Governor DeSantis. But you're right. This is really about power, and as we move closer to the election next couple of months, it's really important for folks to understand what's on the line here, because what's happening in North Carolina, what's happening in Florida, and various other states will only mushroom if things go a certain way in November, and then obviously whoever gets sworn in the presidency in January. So it's really important for folks, not only, I guess, obviously in North Carolina, and it was good to certainly have the sheriff on, but it's really important that you're registered to vote, you mobilize, and you get out the vote. But not just that, we need to continue to make sure we support whether the sheriff or various other candidates that have an agenda that mirrors the values and morals of the local community. And what I really love about what the sheriff had to say is about being black and being bold in our society. Because look, Roland, we talk about this on your show a lot. If black folks aren't continue to be proactive, then you'll see the things we've seen with Louisiana, in which you have these regressive policies being rolled in by the new governor that are going to continue to hurt Black folks, not only now, but in the years to come. So once again, we have to, like you said, we have to be black and bold, but we have to be very careful in making sure that we don't allow these folks to, in with local, state, and federal elections, win in November, or this is going to get a lot worse.
See, Randy, when you talk about playing chess, some folks don't understand what chess means. You have a bunch of people out here who love just to run their mouths, love to trash talk, and love to say all these different things. I was dealing with some of these fools earlier, and what was interesting me, was really interesting to me, Randy, I love these people who are like, oh, all you do, you on the Democratic plantation, you a shield, that's all you do. But here's what they don't understand. This is a perfect example. If you don't vote in state rep and state Senate races, and if you don't even have candidates that run on the Democratic side, then you're guaranteeing Republicans have an easier path for absolute control. Republicans have supermajorities right now: Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina. Those are 7 states with significant Black population, meaning they can pass anything without any Democrats. So when you're talking about electoral politics, you may not be able to take control of the whole state, but you can keep them from having a supermajority, which means they have to get votes from the other side to pass anything. This is the type of bill that if you did not have a supermajority in North Carolina, because that one white Democrat, female, she screwed her district and became the Republican, thus giving them a supermajority, now all of a sudden you can stop bills. See, it's not always about can you have control of the body, can you also stop them from having total control in order to be effective?
Correct. I agree with you 100%. I mean, we're seeing even with the sheriff, if we did not have him there being bold and being Black and seeing the humanity in people and trying to advocate for the best for them, where we'd be, even though he is being steamrolled because of the fact that the Republicans have played chess. We have to give them credit for the game that they've played, where they are seeing 3 moves ahead of us and putting people in office so our voices are not heard whatsoever. And that is completely intimidating and scary, because we now have people at the reins who are not thinking about us. I tell people, I understand you may not like the way that the system is set up now, but it is the system that we have. And so while we have this system, we at least want to play it as best as we can, or we end up in these situations. Being apathetic and not voting and just saying, I don't like the way things are, so I'm not going to participate at all, is just laying over and dying. I mean, it's just saying that you have absolutely no hope and you're giving up, and you're giving our power to people who clearly want to take it away at every step.
Absolutely. And again, when we talk about this, so many of these people, Larry, just don't get it. They don't understand what's going on. They don't understand how politics operates. And so when you have to get 3, 5, 7 votes across the aisle, you now have to negotiate. You now have to compromise. You know, and okay, so for the people out here, and this is what I'll say to all the people and all you YouTube political scientists, all of you YouTube economists, all of you folk who ain't covered nothing, who don't talk to nobody, who have no understanding of politics, by all means, please explain to me how, show me how the things that y'all claim y'all want are going to happen when Republicans are in total control. All y'all tangibles people, all y'all FBA people, I see all the bullshit of y'all seeing on my Twitter feed. Show me, please. I'll wait. how all the things that you claim you want, please, by all means, show me how you're going to get them from Republicans. Yeah, like I said, I'll wait, Larry.
Yeah, Roland, you know, one of the great things about your show is that you consistently are consistent about the importance of, like I say, making sure people register to vote, but also these, you know, one of the things about social media is there are a lot of voices out there. People have podcasts and everyone has an opinion, but just because you have an opinion doesn't make you an expert. And so, like you said, for those, you know, external voices, people out there describing some, you know, why we should, you know, vote this way or that way. The bottom line is, as we're seeing evidence the last couple of years, you talk about North Carolina, Florida, Louisiana, we can keep going, is that this situation in this country will continue to, our democracy will continue to decline if we don't take a stand. And Roland, as I use Louisiana as an example in particular, if we're not, especially as Black folks, if we're not actively engaged, first of all, pushing against the misinformation in our own community. But secondly, if we once again aren't making sure every black person of all ages is registered to vote, then what we see in Louisiana will become the national model under a Trump administration. And I know, like I said, certainly local and state elections are very important. But those elections the last couple of years and a lot of these right wingers that have been getting in office, they're not telegraphing what's going to happen at the federal level. So if we're not making sure we have candidates running against a lot of these right-wingers in every possible district, we're going to find ourselves, and like you said in Florida, certainly in Florida, when you're dealing with these supermajorities, when Democrats have little to no power to make, you know, in terms of policy decisions. So it's critically important that we stay actively engaged and that we continue to fight regardless of all the rhetoric we hear from, like I said, these podcasters and these other folks who don't have a policy background. They don't have any background in anything, and they're just somebody in their garage trying to talk about a variety of topics they have no expertise in.
And see, again, the thing here, Randy, that I just keep emphasizing, all of y'all FBA, B1 people, you name it, okay, let's talk hardcore politics. Please show me how you are going to get the things you say you want by sitting out of politics.
Well, this is...
Please show me how it's going to happen if you stay on the couch. Because here's what they don't understand. When Black voter participation drops, what you've now done is you've made it easier for your opponents to win. So when you decrease, so already we're not the dominant voting bloc in most places. There are cities in America where African Americans are 30, 40, 50+%. Absolutely. So for instance, African Americans are the majority of voters in the Democratic primary in South Carolina. Republicans control every statewide seat, meaning you can win the Democratic primary with Black voters. You can't win the state in the general election without white voters. So what these people don't understand is what you're seeing in North Carolina, the attacks on these sheriffs, is a direct result of folks not voting, one, when Sheriff Beasley was running for Chief Justice of the state Supreme Court, lost by 400 votes. Then she ran for the U.S. Senate because she lost that seat. Republicans now control the state Supreme Court. I was in Nashville a few weeks ago when I met Judge Anita Earls. They actually wanted to impeach her. They investigated her in North Carolina because she dared to comment about diversity in the judiciary. This is how nefarious and evil these people are. But again, all of the people who love talking trash on social media and on YouTube and other platforms about how, oh, you a sellout, you a shield, you on the plantation, by all means, show me how y'all gonna get anything checking out of politics. Randy, go ahead.
What I have found out is that there is a whole genre now of just complaining people. they get numbers, they get off on really just complaining and talking about what everybody else is doing, yet they are doing nothing. They are completely apathetic. They are not in any way showing any actions. They're not bringing any solutions to any problems. You know, I was raised, you bring up a problem, you got to come with a solution. No, they just talk about problems. So they're more comfortable, you know, going against you or anyone else who is begging us, begging our community to please be active. Don't be apathetic. We need us right now. No one's going to save us but us. They would rather complain than acting. And it excuses their own apathy. It excuses their own laziness, because it's easy to sit on a couch and complain and talk about what everybody else is doing, particularly when you're not doing anything. And we can't afford not to do anything right now.
Absolutely. All right, folks, got to go to a break. We come back. Roland Martin Unfiltered. Lots for us to talk about, including an officer being fired in Ohio who shot and killed a black man. But that wasn't why he was actually terminated. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about Vice President Kamala Harris making her trip to Detroit, talking about economics, black economics. And we're going to do a deconstruction, breakdown for you what she had to say and actually what the impact has been for African Americans. Oh, and all you tangibles people, I'm going to explain to you how the Biden-Harris administration going after and trying to fix the racism in home appraisals that could have a $100 billion impact on black people. Tangible. Folks, support Roland Martin Unfiltered. Be sure to join the Bring the Funk fan club. Your checks and money orders and your donations allow us to be able to cover the stories, to travel around the country, have the multiple shows on the Black Star Network. You, of course, send your check and money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037 -0196. Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back. First, President Barack Obama's road to the White House. We got about 500 copies of the book available. And so this actually is all of the coverage of the 2008 election. But the other thing is this here. I talked to folks like Malik Yoba, Hill Harper, Erica Alexander, Kevin Lau, Spike Lee, Tatiana Ali. But there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff in here as well, where I talked about some of the stuff that went down at CNN. Also, when you go through here, a lot of the photos that you see in here, photos that I actually shot, photos that were my time at CNN. And so what I decided to do, because one, I published the book and I own it myself, is that so I said, you know what, I'm going to slash the price to $10. And so we're going to have shipping and handling, $5.99. I'm going to personally autograph every copy. I'm not reprinting the book. So once we are sold out of these 500, that's it. They're gone. So you can go to RolandSMartin.com/the-first to get a copy of this book. Everybody who orders this book through the website, not on Amazon, only through RolandSMartin.com, I will personally autograph and mail you a copy of this book. It's all of the covers, the actual interviews that I did with him. And just to show you, of course, when it came out, there's actually even in here the interviews that I did with him and Michelle Obama, which won TV One Cable Network's his first 2 NAACP Image Awards. And so all of that for $10. Shipping and handling is $5.99. So go to RolandSMartin.com the first and order your copy today.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kim Coles.
Hey, I'm Donnie Simpson.
Yo, it's your man Dion Cole from Blackish, and you watch
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered. The cop who shot an Ohio teen with a fake gun last month has been fired again. The Akron Police Department terminated Ryan Westlake for 2 unrelated use of force investigations. The first incident took place on December 31st, 2023, when Westlake rested the barrel of his rifle on the back of a suspect's head and neck and ordered him to put his hands behind his head. The second use of force incident took place on March 1st, when Westlake threw a female suspect to the ground while trying to get her in handcuffs. The decision to fire Westlake came the same day that the Summit County Prosecutor's Office dropped the charges against 15-year-old Tavion Kuntz Williams for carrying a fake gun at the time of his April 1st shooting. As you see in the video here, Westlake barely got out of the car before he fired shots at this young man. This, Randy, is just a perfect example of how you have, again, the few bad apples, how having folks on the police force who do not know how to control themselves, but they have a badge and a gun, that's when they are a danger or a threat to society.
He should not have even been out there to shoot this young man if he had been looked at before. He already had 2 violations against him. One, that was just the fact that he put the gun, the butt of his gun against someone's head and then grabbed the young man by his, the twist in his hair, shows a very violent nature. And so while he was not put on a leave of absence then and was still patrolling our streets, the man, the people who are supposed to keep us safe, but really seems like he is out with a vengeance to attack our people any opportunity he gets, is a serious issue, an issue that we keep seeing over and over again.
Larry.
Roland, when I first heard about this story, I thought about Tamir Rice just a few years ago. And in the state of Ohio, another example with, a fake gun and another black male being shot. Fortunately, this young brother wasn't killed. But I got to tell you also, as a father of a black male, these stories are just the level of trauma we have to constantly deal with. So I think it's really important to remember that, this situation with this police officer, there's going to be an appeal process. So, while we're having a discussion about that officer losing his job, I remind those who are watching, you live in Ohio, you live in Akron, you live in the metropolitan area, you need to be aware that there is still an appeals process and this individual could still get their job back. So you need to be vigilant, whether it's the NAACP or various other civil rights organizations in the area, Divine Nine organizations need to make sure that this law enforcement officer doesn't get an opportunity not only to harm another black child, but to hurt any other black folks. His sister he hurt, the other brother he put the barrel of his gun. These are all traumatic events that those folks may never get over. But we have to keep law enforcement officers like this off the street. These stories only happen too much in the black community. And that's why it's important we have these conversations in your platform.
Speaking of the cop that's being fired, the city of Atlanta will pay millions to the family of a church deacon who died last year after being tased during an exchange with cops. The Atlanta City Council unanimously approved a $3.8 million settlement for the death of 62-year-old Johnny Holman Sr. He died due to the shock from a taser on August 10th last year. Holman's daughter, Amitra, released the following statement after the settlement. On behalf of my siblings and our entire family, we want to thank all the people across Atlanta who have supported us in our fight for justice for our father. The students, clergy, organizers, and artists who prayed, marched, and stood with us have been a true blessing. We are grateful that Mayor Dickens and the City Council have brought closure to this part of our fight for justice. We will continue to demand arrest of those responsible for our father's death. Amitra Holman's daughter. Kieran Kimbrough was fired in October for not following the department procedures by not waiting until a supervisor arrived to arrest Holman. See, right here, Larry, which we explain to people. We talk about cops. It is not always black and white. It's often blue. And what you have is you have this arrogant nature, this arrogant attitude of we're in control, we run this, we can do whatever it is that we want. And so we see the same sort of actions from black officers. This cop, anybody who saw the video, was impatient, did not want to give this senior citizen the time to calm down, and he ended up tasing him, and he died as a result. this cop should have been fired.
Absolutely, Roland, and he should never have the opportunity to be a law enforcement officer in any other jurisdiction. We know sometimes they make it easy for them to, once they get fired, move on to another state or county and also continue to be employed. But, Roland, you touched on a really important issue in terms of, there's a tradition in the Black community about being patient with those, who've come before us. And in this situation, an example, he lost control. And when you have a badge and a taser and a gun, there are times when you have to be patient. And like I said, especially with our elders in our community, to let them calm down before you decide to use something. In this case, you're responsible for his death. And we lose another elder, and this is another person in our community who has all these years of knowledge that we lose, that the family lose, that his church members lose. Another issue is, like you said, Roland, let's get to the issue about Black law enforcement officers. KRS-One years ago made a song called Black Cop, right? And so we have to be mindful, like you said, that this blue wall, that includes Black folks, Latinx folks, and other people from minoritized communities. And so what happened is they become part of this group. And sometimes they contribute to dehumanizing their own people. And this is an example of that. Condolences to his family. This is a tragedy, but we need to do a better job to making sure, and before we hold law enforcement officers accountable, we have to make sure that this is not happening. But this is once again connected to how Black folks are dehumanized by our society.
Indeed. Randy?
When we talk about people's biases, we think that we just have to look at white people and see how they're thinking about Black people, and do they show a threat to us. We have to look at Black people too. I mean, Black people can hold biases within our own community, and it's important, and particularly when they feel as if they're part of a larger organization or a more powerful organization, like Blue. That's what they do. They think they see or affiliate with the Blue. But we have seen many times they get a wake-up call when they realize when they get in trouble, how they really aren't in that community either. And all of a sudden they become Black. They get a big wake-up call.
They do. And so, unfortunately, Johnny Holman died as a result of this, and hopefully this will, again, provide some sense of closure to his family. But the reality is they'll never get to see him again, and so it's not as easy as folks expect. All right, gonna go to break. We come back. Florida A&M, lots of drama there. People asking questions about this $237 million gift to the university from a brother, frankly, no one has heard of. We'll tell you about that. Plus, we'll hear from the president of Wilberforce University about how he has that Ohio institution, the oldest private HBCU in America, how he has them on the rebound. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
An angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate Black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
I'm Dr. Greg Carr, and coming up on the next Black Table, thinking about the Black freedom movement in a global way. Dr. John Monroe joins us to discuss his book, The Anti-Colonial Front, which maps the social justice movement in the United States and its impact internationally, from Asia to Africa, and how movements like anti-communism were used to slow down racial equality, like critical race theory today.
Critical race theory today, communism back then, that's essentially mobilized to shut down any challenges to a given system of power.
Connecting the civil rights movement to colonialism on the next Black Table, exclusively here on the Black Star Network.
Hello, I'm Marissa Mitchell, a news anchor at Fox 5 DC.
Hey, what's up? It's Tammy Roman, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Massive donation. It is one of the largest ever given to an HBCU. It was $237 million, courtesy of Gregory Jerami and the Isaac Batterson the Seventh Family Trust. Now again, a $237 million donation that came out of nowhere. Jerami has no relationship with Florida A&M. He didn't graduate from there, had no family graduated from there. And so folks were shocked and stunned. This would take the endowment of Florida A&M to almost $400 million, making it the third largest endowment behind Howard University as well as Spelman. Well, after this was the case, people were asking, who is this guy? Where does money come from? What does he do? And on and on and on. And so as a result, it's been lots of stuff. The latest development is that the Florida A&M vice chair of the board has demanded an emergency public meeting to address this particular issue. He says that there have been a lot of questions that have been raised. You've got folks out there who are posting all sorts of information with regards to this man. There are people who are suggesting that he may not be real, that this may become an embarrassment to Florida A&M. Apparently, the Board of Trustees was not aware of this donation until the announcement was made. Now, Jerami, what he did, he actually he announced that there was a stock transfer. The stock transfer has been in place for more than a month. He says that Florida A&M has the money. It's already been there. And so that was one of the things that he said. Now, Florida A&M, as a result of the concerns that have been raised by a number of people, the Florida A&M board, they actually released, the communication department released, the Florida A&M communication staff released this statement. Florida A&M University is still extremely excited about Mr. Gregory Jerami's historic announcement yesterday, the Isaac Batterson Family Seventh Trust. We are fully aware of the skepticism that sometimes comes with such a large gift. As expected, some individuals in the public are and will continue researching Mr. Jerami. Please know that FAMU has done its due diligence when it comes to this matter. Additionally, Mr. Jerami has and continues to do his own due diligence on things that have been and are happening at FAMU. While a non-disclosure agreement we signed prevents us from disclosing many details, as was reported on May 4th, Mr. Jerami transferred $237,750,000 worth of stocks into our account last month. Mr. Jerami's $237,750 stock transfer was received in the same manner in which we have accepted all other stocks donated to the university through the FAMU Foundation, Inc. As with any non-cash gift received, such as cryptocurrency, real estate, and stocks, it will be converted to cash and recorded appropriately. Again, we greatly appreciate Mr. Jerami's and the Isaac Batterson Family Seventh Trust generosity. Our students will be true beneficiaries of their most generous contribution. Now, this has been lots and lots of focus because literally this brother has come out of nowhere. They organized. What they did was they actually organized a massive meeting today. And I was going through it earlier today. It was a press call. The press call, folks, was interesting because it had Jerami on it. It had university folks. But here's where I'm still confused, and maybe y'all can help me. How does the board not know about such a gift? I'm confused. Now, Florida A&M has said there was a non-disclosure agreement. I get that. But if you're the university president, you have a board of trustees. Surely you alert them of this. Florida A&M is also a public university. So even though there's a non-disclosure agreement, you still are a public university. So now, not sure who the gift went to. So there's all sorts of questions here that have arisen here. And I get it. Larry, I totally understand why people will be freaking out, because you ain't got somebody black just don't wake up and give away $237.75 million and not go, you giving that much away and you got some left? So I understand the skepticism in Florida. And what really struck me, though, was when this vice chair of the board said he didn't know until the announcement was made on Saturday.
So, Roland, let's unpack this. This is particularly for the communications and development offices at FAMU. So let me start off by saying, I live in a state. I know a number of prominent, successful FAMU alum who are obviously very concerned about what's happened here the last couple of days. So, Roland, I also fortunately serve as chairman of a board of HBCU Foundation. So this story in particular is very interesting to me, because often, foundations, we take in amounts of money, have an MOU with universities, and we take in amounts of money, sometimes large donations. So the non-disclosure agreement is one of the things that really is a red flag for me. I'm not really quite sure why do we have an NDA with this individual, but I think that there's some other deeper issues in terms of the communications issue you highlighted. The board has to always know if there's someone donates $1 million or $2 million, the board's going to have to be notified. Donating $250 million and the members of the board don't know about it and they find about it like everyone else, heads are going to roll when it comes to this particular issue. And I have questions for the people in the development office. I mean, this is obviously a significant amount of money, and they said the transfer went through. But one of the things I want to highlight, and like I said, my work when I'm chairing the foundation board, is usually when people make large donations, they sign some kind of letter of understanding, and they don't usually donate that kind of money in one transfer. There's usually some kind of corpus that may be 3, 5, 10% a percentage of that overall allotment that they will give, kind of lay the foundation, and then in letter of understanding, it outlines over the next 3, 5, 10 years how much money we're going to donate. I don't even think we've seen people like Michael Bloomberg, who's given hundreds of millions of dollars to Johns Hopkins, give up $250 million, and he's a billionaire in one transfer. So I'm assuming that there's going to be some kind of investigation, certainly an audit, to kind of figure out. It appears this gentleman has a history, a checkered history, but certainly if this amount of money, this transfer is accurate, it's helpful and it's outstanding for FAMU. But the idea that members of the board of trustees did not know about this is going to be a problem for the president, the development office, and the folks who are working in communication.
Randy, this story was posted about an hour ago on the Tallahassee Democrat website. And in this story, Gregory Jerami, who's 30 years old, is quoted in this. He said the stocks have been held by the university for over a month now, so I don't know where the confusion or the skepticism would be, since it's already in a financial account with the university. Now, he's a 30-year-old hemp farmer, investor, and entrepreneur. And so, again, now he previously had announced he was going to give a $95 million transformational gift to Coastal Carolina University, but that fell through. as well. And so, again, you see here, FAMU's communications office set up a late afternoon online news conference Monday afternoon with Jerami, founder of the Batterson Farms Corporation, to clear up miscommunicated information and set the record straight on the donation. And this news conference took place with the VP of Alumni Affairs, Carmen Cummings, the VP for University Advancement, Shanta Friday Stroud, who's also executive director of the FAMU Foundation, as well, and it was organized for the Tallahassee Democrat, Bloomberg, and the Inside Higher Ed. Sure would have been nice to have some black-owned media on that call as opposed to having white media, Randy. But in this particular call here, again, university, it says here, but university officials who have said they are bound by a non-disclosure agreement on details of the donation left it largely up to Jerami to answer questions.
Yeah, the lack of transparency definitely just is a red flag. You know, we as a community are already usually suspicious. Anything with money, we're going to say the Illuminati or something has something to do with it. But when you have a young man who's only 30 years old, giving $250 million to a university, no one has ever heard of him, it's kind of suspect. I don't understand how a decision is made at an HBCU or any high institution of higher learning without the board of trustees being involved in that. That's somewhat concerning. And also that there was an NDA to cover what don't they want, or what doesn't he want to be disclosed. And of course, the last two, you know, he tried to give donations to 2 other universities and the deal fell through. So I understand people's concerns. Of course, as a strong proponent of HBCUs and a graduate of one, I am praying that it is absolutely legit and FAMU gets many blessings from the money, but I understand the concern.
Yeah, I mean, it's real. I mean, so the bottom line is people are raising the issues. And so, again, go back to the Tallahassee Democrat story. By Tuesday afternoon, the vice chair of Florida A&M University Board of Trustees was calling on FAMU President Larry Robinson and Board Chair Christian Harper to convene a public emergency meeting for the university community to learn more about this donation. So we'll see what happens next. But again, I mean, I'm like you. People are asking, okay, it's stocks. What kind of stocks? In what companies? Is it legit? So listen, a lot of questions, and so we certainly will wait to see what happens next. Well, speaking of what happens next at Texas Southern University, they have a new president to announce. He, of course, the Board of Regents named James W. Crawford III to take over the university, replacing Leisha Crumpton Young, who stepped down after less than 2 years. Crawford comes to TSU from Felician University, where he served as president for nearly 2 years after filling the role on an interim basis for 9 months. He also served in the United States Navy for more than 30 years, retiring as a vice admiral and the 43rd Judge Advocate General. So you have that going on. All right, folks, on Saturday, I gave the commencement speech at Wilberforce University. It was a class of 81 folks. It was the largest graduating class in 10 years. And it was packed. The auditorium was packed. It was absolutely great to see all the folks there. Again, Wilberforce is the nation's oldest private HBCU. And of course, they date back a number of years, but they have been under some serious hard times. They also were the first college owned by African Americans, founded in 1856. They are affiliated with the African Methodist Episcopal Church. And like I said, lots of problems. They had long time Reverend Floyd Flake, former member of Congress. He was president of the university. Then they cycled through a number of university presidents after that. At one point, they had a deficit of more than $4 million, and enrollment had dropped to less than 500. The numbers were going down. They are now closer to 700. I talked to Dr. Van Newkirk Sr., who just completed his first year as president, Wilberforce, and he said things are on the rebound and things are looking up for Wilberforce. All right, Doc, first year down.
Yeah, things are going good and the enrollment's up and we just feel good about being here.
Talk about, again, coming here and what you walked into, and then what your focus is for the future.
Well, we walked into an institution that had lost focus a little bit. We did have some financial issues. We've gotten that eradicated, our enrollment's up, and we've got new programs. We're changing our focus a little bit. We're going to be a more technology-focused institution. We want to be the HBCU MIT, and that's where we're going. We've got 4 engineering programs and an aviation program that's in the works.
This was your largest graduating class in 10 years.
Oh, yes. And what it means for us is that, students are buying into this university. We're the northernmost HBCU, and we're in the middle of everywhere. People always say the middle of nowhere, the middle of everywhere. We're 2 hours from Indianapolis, 17 minutes from Dayton, 30 minutes from Cincinnati, 45 minutes from Columbus, so we're right in a good spot, and we get a lot of kids from these major urban areas, and we believe that we're going to capitalize on that like no other HBCU.
So your enrollment is around your 600 plus, but what is your goal in terms of pushing it up to?
We want to get 1,500 students, and we believe that next year we've got a stretch goal of 800, but we're going to be somewhere in the 7s, and then the year after that we want to get to 9. So we're moving pretty quickly. And we have all confidence that we'll get there.
You also have some new construction on campus.
New residence halls. We're building apartment complexes. We're going in looking at the buildings that we have. We need to put up a new engineering building and music building for our fine arts programs. And those are our next objectives because we need to have that for our students and beds for our students to stay as they come here.
You also have a lot of land to work with. From an acre standpoint, how large is the campus?
Right as you see, we really are sitting on about 250 acres. Mm-hmm. There's about 140 cleared acres. And, we were paying $11,000 a month to cut the grass. We just went technology focused on our grass. We bought an automated lawnmower that cuts the grass by itself. We remote control. So our maintenance staff, they go out and program. We're one of only a handful of people who are using remote control lawnmowers to do stuff like that. That cut our bill down to $1,100 a month.
Wow, from 11,000.
11,000 to 1,100.
Now, in terms of that, are you looking to take better advantage of that space to do different things?
Oh, yeah. We're looking at how we can look at outside vendors to actually, outside partners, to look at putting up user space, that residential hall space, putting in retail space, because if you look at it, you got 2 HBCUs right here together, 3. You got Payne Theological Seminary, and the only store you have here is a Speedway gas station. So you got about 3,000 HBCU students and faculty, and they only have a Speedway gas station. So we want to put some retail spots here, and we want to have mixed use. And that's what we have partners we're looking at and talking with now.
And one of the things we were talking about earlier is that, because of your housing issue, you're having to rent or lease housing from Central State.
Oh, yeah. We've got 200 beds over there we're leasing, and we've been looking at how we expand very quickly. We looked at purchasing an old nursing home in town, but that's not going to be sufficient. So what we've done this year, we're going to not only lease space at Central State, we're leasing a dorm from Antioch College, which is 6 miles away. So, that's going to get us through temporarily until we build our new buildings.
And in terms of what is your message for your alumni? Obviously, alumni giving is always critically important. What is your message for them?
Well, we're telling them to give more. Give like you've never given before. But our alums are doing a real good job right now. They're giving and they're stepping up, but we want to continue to get them to step up. What our problem has been is the local community hadn't really come this direction. This is 3 miles from a town of 30,000 people, and you would imagine that the town would grow this way, but it grew the other direction. And what we're looking at is how we get some of those local investors, and we're starting to crack that ceiling, because just yesterday we got one of the major foundations in the area, which has never given any money to us, to give us a small gift, and we're looking at how we can expand those type gifts. That's where we're going. That's what we need.
You talked about the geographic location, and so as a part of that strategy, really doing aggressive recruitment sort of in this 3-hour radius?
Yes, that's what we're doing, but we're also trying to do something that I think is really important. We're trying to crack into the majority population. There's a lot of students here who are not African American, who don't go to college. We believe that we can serve this neighborhood and this community well, because if we're going to get the community involved, we have to educate all. And so we're going to look at that 300-mile radius, and we're also looking at how we get more of the kids in this local area, this old blue-collar town, some of those students to come to this institution.
And most people don't realize 20% of all HP students are non-African American.
That's right. And, you know, let me tell you, we have one partner that's helping us, the Cincinnati Reds. They started a baseball team here for our students. We have about 100 baseball players on campus, and about 30 of those baseball players come from all over the United States, and they're other race.
All right, then. Anything else?
I think that's what it is, but what I can say, Roland, is that if they're looking for a school that's an HBCU, a true HBCU experience, one that's going to take them somewhere, this institution is close enough to Detroit, Chicago, Indianapolis, Columbus, and all of those big cities that makes us a worthwhile place. Pittsburgh's 2 hours away. And we are the place that they can get that education, not having to go all the way to the deep south. They can come right here and get it, and get a quality education at an affordable price.
All right, Randy, you are a Tuskegee graduate. Must be music to your ears to hear a president lay out a vision and a plan to grow an institution as opposed to seeing it die.
I really like to hear that he was talking about partnering with businesses. I mean, that has worked very well when you look at places like Hampton. Harvey did a good job with that. When I was at Tuskegee, Peyton brought in some businesses. You're seeing that, of course, in Morehouse and Spelman, where there's money waiting for businesses. You have college kids that are away and they want to spend some money, spend their parents' money, especially just getting something to eat. You get tired of the calf food. So I think that it's really important that our HBCUs definitely think from a business perspective and not just, we should just focus on the books. We have to run those schools as if they're businesses, because they are at the end of the day, and partner with others. So yeah, I'm really excited to see that they're thriving, and I wish them much success.
And of course, Larry, you heard him lay out there, again, smart decision. Wow, remote control lawnmower, lawn mowing that cuts the bill from $11,000 to $1,100. That's $120,000 savings a year.
Yeah, it's physically irresponsible. And, Roland, you can use technology in a lot of different ways. And what you see here, this example he just gave to save you money, particularly for small HBCUs. And, I'm also a proud HBCU alum. And, it's certainly good to hear the president outline his short and long-term, vision for the university. And listen, Roland, they have a lot of acreage there. My undergraduate university, Chain University, a small HBCU, they've monetized some of the land and buildings they have there by having corporations on campus. So there's a lot of ways in which HBCUs can make money. And, like Wilberforce and other HBCUs, they do have a lot of land if they're, in rural suburban areas. So, putting together a shopping center with multi-use, uses in terms of families and apartments is certainly makes a lot of sense. But considering they have so much land, there's a lot of opportunity to make sure they can build out, increase their enrollment, beyond 1,000 in terms of getting into the numbers it was, years ago. But certainly this is a great first step. And like I said, it was great to hear him articulate exactly what, the vision is for the institution. And Wilberforce is a great college, and I know people have graduated from there.
Indeed. So I had a great time there with the commencement on Saturday. Folks, if you missed that, simply go to the Black Star Network app or go to our YouTube channel. You can actually check it out for yourself. All right, folks, got to go to break. We come back. Vice President Kamala Harris stopped in Detroit yesterday for the second leg of her economic empowerment tour. We'll break down what she had to say. Also, we'll show you her visit to a Black-owned restaurant as well, plus chat with the head of the NAACP and the pastor in Detroit. She met with faith leaders after her speech. We'll chat with him about that as well. It's time, folks, got to go to a break. We'll be right back on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. lot of y'all have been asking me about the pocket squares that we have available on our website. You see me rocking the Shibori pocket square right here. It's all about looking different. Now look, summertime is coming up. Y'all know, I keep trying to tell fellas, change your look, please. You can't wear athletic shoes every damn wear. So if you're putting on linen suits, if you're putting on some summer suits, have a whole different look. The reason I like this particular pocket square, the Shibori, is because it's sort of like a flower and looks pretty cool here versus the traditional boring silk pocket squares. But also I like being a little different as well. So this is why we have these custom-made feather pocket squares on the website as well. My sister actually designed these after a few years ago. I was in this battle with Steve Harvey at Essence, and I saw this at a St. Jude fundraiser. I saw this feather pocket square, and I said, well, I got some ideas. So I hit her, and she sent me about 30 different ones. And so this completely changes your look. Now, some of you men out there, I had some dudes say, oh, man, I can't wear that. Well, if you ain't got swagger, that's not my problem. But if you're looking for something different to spruce up your look, fellas, ladies, if y'all looking to get your man a good gift, I've run into brothers all across the country with the feather pocket squares saying, see, check mine out. And so it's always good to see them. And so this is what you do. Go to RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. You can order Shibori pocket squares or the custom-made pocket squares. Now, for the Shiboris, we're out of a lot of the different colors, and I think we're down to about 200 or 300. So you want to get your order in as soon as you can, because here's what happened. I got these several years ago, and the Japanese company signed a deal with another company, and I bought them before they signed that deal, and so I can't get access to any more from the company in Japan that makes them. And so get yours now. So come summertime, when I see y'all at Essence, y'all could be looking fly with the Shibori pocket square or the custom-made pocket square. Again, RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. Go there now.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Latasha from the A.
And you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, yesterday I was on Air Force 2 to Detroit. We left out of Andrews Air Force Base, headed to Detroit with Vice President Kamala Harris for the second leg of her economic empowerment tour. Last week, she was in Atlanta. This is her getting off the plane in Detroit, being met at the airport there with the U.S. Trade Representative, as well as Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist of Michigan, as well as his wife. Also on the trip was, of course, the Energy Secretary, Jennifer Granholm, former governor of Michigan. Also, you had my man Don with the Commerce Department, as well as the Deputy Administrator of Small Business Administration. They were all there as well. So it was a great time. And the whole point of this was for her to talk about what they have accomplished, the Biden-Harris administration has done, dealing with the economic issues, but also to deal with the reality of how African Americans have fared under this administration. It was a very tough last couple of years, COVID under the orange one. And so they had to dig this economy out of a massive, massive hole. And so in her conversation, in her speech there, one of the things that Vice President Harris talked about was housing. And we've covered this a lot in terms of the impact on housing when it comes to the creation of wealth in America. This is what she said.
Thank all of the extraordinary leaders who are here today. We are also helping more people buy a home. Home ownership is one of the most powerful engines of intergenerational wealth. It builds equity, which can help pay for a child's college education, or provide equity that then can be used as startup capital to start a business. But as a result of lasting legacies of structural inequities, such as segregation, redlining, and so-called urban renewal, today, Black Americans are 40% less likely to own a home. And this is a sad fact, and home ownership rates for Black men have been falling for 3 decades straight. We've got to do something about that. So to help address these disparities in our budget, President Biden and I outlined a blueprint to provide folks who are first in their family to buy a home with $25,000 toward a down payment. To give families up to $400 a month to help with a mortgage, and to build 2 million units of affordable housing to lower costs for home buyers and renters. We are also calling out and addressing the issue of racial bias in home appraisals. We all know the stories. We've heard the stories. The stories like of a black family that gets a home appraisal and the valuation is much lower than they know what their home is worth. So they get a new appraisal, only this time they replace their photographs with photos of a family friend who is white, and they ask that family to bring in the appraiser. And the new appraisal is much higher. We've heard those stories. Today, I'm proud to report that we have made it now easier for more homeowners to appeal home appraisals, and we have reached a commitment that all licensed home appraisers be required to complete racial bias training.
Now, I always get a kick out of folks who comment on social media, other platforms, complaining about, oh, she's doing nothing for black people. This is not impacting us. We want tangibles. We want to see results. So let me explain to those of you who don't quite understand what that appraisal discussion means. The Vice President didn't mention this. I wish her speechwriters had put this in there, because this is important. The Brookings Institution 2 years ago did a study. And in that particular study that they broke down, they talked about the impact on black people and these appraisals. Now, I want you to understand something. We're talking the 21st century. This is what they said. Racial bias in appraisals. It's called How Racial Bias in Appraisals Affects the Devaluation of Homes in Majority Black Neighborhoods. Jonathan Rothwell, Andre Perry. I'm going to go down here. I'm going to show y'all something that's going to blow y'all away. Because if you want to talk about how the Biden-Harris administration, by attacking this problem, actually impacts black people. So it shows you in here the data. This is what they say. They say, we continue to find that homes in black neighborhoods are valued roughly 21 to 23% below what their valuations would be in non-black neighborhoods. Neighborhoods with a majority of Latino or Hispanic, Asian American, or white residents do not experience home price devaluation using the same model. Now, here is, look at that big number right here. The cost of devaluation across 113 metro areas in the United States with at least one majority black neighborhood is approximately $162 billion. Let me repeat that again. Just keep it right there. The cost of devaluation across the 113 metro areas in the United States with at least one majority black neighborhood is approximately $162 billion. That's money that could be going to black people. That's money that black people could be used to invest, to give to churches, to give to HBCUs, to give to civil rights groups, to put into the stock market, to help their own kids buy homes. Y'all, these are black people with homes. And the Vice President talked about the low home ownership rate for African Americans. These are black people with homes. See, y'all might remember when I did the podcast of the conservative podcaster Patrick Bet-David. And he and I went back and forth because, he thought I was wrong. He thought, how dare I? He thought that I was just sort of making this thing up. And he called it anecdotal. And then he got really upset because I was challenging him on this very issue when it came to home appraisals. And he was like, you're just sitting there, bringing up, you're just bringing up, this anecdotal stuff. And I'm like, anecdotal? I'm bringing up anecdotal? No, I'm bringing up actual information. And so when I challenged him on it, then his own person, for some reason, couldn't pull it up. Because, see, Patrick, he didn't believe in systemic racism. But see, the fact of the matter is, this is what we see. And we see these things consistently. And so not only that, the vice president also, in her speech, talked about a $100 million investment specifically for minority businesses there in Detroit. Listen. No, guys, y'all have it in there. Yep, y'all should have it. Come on, y'all have the soundbite. She talked about a $100 million announcement. The $100 million announcement that she talked about yesterday to businesses there in Detroit. See, again, this didn't get lots of coverage. Mainstream media did not spend virtually any time on the vice president being in Detroit. And then you hear black folks say, oh my goodness, we never hear from the vice president. Because y'all always watching mainstream media. This is why you got to watch black-owned media. Go.
I am proud to announce we are investing $100 million in small and medium-sized auto supply companies, many of which are black-owned and based right here in Michigan. These grants will allow businesses to upgrade production and production lines to produce parts for electric vehicles. I am also pleased to announce the launch of a new program that will match government-backed loans with private equity capital to help small and mid-sized auto suppliers access loans from $250,000 to $10 million. The strength of America's economy is also based on the strength of America's supply chains. We all learned that in the pandemic, if we weren't clear before. This investment will help to keep our auto supply chains here in America, which strengthens America's economy overall, and keep those jobs here in Detroit.
After her speech, Vice President Harris met with a number of people, including faith leaders and civil rights leaders. One of them is Reverend Wendell Anthony. He is head of the NAACP there. Glad to have him back on the show. Reverend Anthony, the point I made there when I talk about the Vice President here in terms of the speech, what she talked about, even in Atlanta last week and this week, virtually no attention with mainstream media. And when black folks say, well, she's not talking to stuff that we care about, that's what the whole damn speech yesterday was about. It was speaking about things that they have done economically for all Americans, but also for black people.
Roland, let me ask you, does this qualify as a puff? You mentioned puff.
No. Put that down. Put that down.
What you mean? This is a puff, man.
Put that.
Don't puff me.
Put that peaky green tissue paper that go in a basket down. Put that down. Answer my question.
Let me just say this, brother. It was a great meeting in Detroit, and you are absolutely correct. It did not get the kind of PR and exposure that it should have, but that's why we got you and others to articulate that. She brought in the heavyweights, Roland. She brought in Donald Graves, head of the Commerce Department. She brought in Julie Sue, Secretary of Labor. She brought in Jennifer Granholm, who was a former governor of Michigan, Secretary of Energy. And so it was a great meeting. The $100 million that you articulated $50 million of those dollars are coming from the Department of Energy's automotive conversion program, and another 50 are coming from the Industrial Assessment Center Implementation Grants Program, which will allow small businesses to modernize their facilities, to get grants for efficiency, greenhouse. In addition, they are creating a program that they call RAMP, R-A-M-P, Readiness Accelerator for Major Programs. That's job providers being matched with workers who want to create jobs. A lot of this is around electric vehicles. And let me just say this, Roland, because a lot of people don't know it. You mentioned churches and community groups. This program will connect colleges, community colleges, churches, small businesses, and all those who are trying to increase and enhance their business. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we know with electric vehicles, they got to have places where they can go and be recharged. Right now, there are not a whole lot of places. One of the things that we're doing with DTE Energy and the auto industry, but particularly DTE Energy here, and this program is going to benefit that, we're going to put some of these stations on the lots of churches, which may be available for the community. That's bringing it right into the heart of the neighborhood, which is something that is sorely needed if you're going to do that. And what that does, that creates employment, that creates an opportunity for community organizations and churches to increase some revenue. That makes it more accessible for people to connect with the auto industry, to purchase these vehicles, and it just has collateral benefits all around. And so her visit was very well timed. It was much on point. And one of the things that she emphasized was that she wanted to talk to real people, people who were doing it in the community. She wanted to talk to a demographic, particularly between the ages of 18 and 35. There are a number of them at the Museum of African American History, right in the heart of downtown Detroit or midtown Detroit. And I know that because I helped to get a lot of them there to make sure they connected with the Vice President of the United States. It was a great meeting. It was a great hit. It just did not get the kind of coverage that it should, but we understand why. That's the challenge that we face. But yet we continue to have to enhance and to work creatively to increase the quality and the viability of the race.
Well, one of the things that, and I said this to the White House as well, that it would have been great to be able to a couple of things that I think they should have done. One, I believe this here. Every time Harris and Biden speak, they need to have 3 to 5 students in the audience who got student loan debt relief. And they should say, Kim Smith, stand up. $78,000 in student loan debt relief.
Right.
John, $102,000 student loan debt relief. So-and-so, $55,000 student loan debt relief. One, because I believe you got to put a face on what you've done.
Absolutely.
2, when Ron talked about this here, Ron Busby, U.S. Black Chambers, Inc., Jennifer Granholm, the acting labor secretary, Sue, they talked about black-owned businesses that were revived and coming back from COVID. Same thing. I thought they should have had the vice president say, so-and-so owns so-and-so. They were going out of business after COVID. We brought that business back. And now they're still in existence. They got X number of employees. And here and here and here. Again, to me, that's one of the ways you do. And then, of course, you make those folks available for us to talk to and interview. So now their stories are going out, and it's not just you have the vice president amplifying policy, but you have the real people amplifying how the policy impacted them.
Well, again, sometimes you're on point, and again, you're on point with that. And so let me just say this. You're absolutely correct. And in the ministerial meeting, the faith-based meeting that she had following the meeting upstairs in the Big Dome area, I moderated that session. And part of what we talked about was not taking your light and putting it underneath a bushel. You a man of faith, Roland. You know exactly what I mean. You let your light shine, not necessarily glorify you, but to glorify your works.
Right.
And those that happen. You might recall when we were in the midst of the challenge pandemically and et cetera. And Donald Trump, towards the end of his term, he sent out checks, and his name was on it, as if he were writing the checks.
Right.
And we all know he ain't wrote no checks to damn person. He don't even pay his creditors. And so he ain't wrote nothing to the people around America. But when a brother or sister got that, oh man, Donald Trump sent me a check. I'm saying that it's all about the illusion of confusion with him. But in this situation, and we talked about it yesterday, we said, and I said to her very specifically, Madam Vice President, sometimes you got to go hard. You have one man who is value-centered, ethical, who does things by the book, who wants to do what's right, and he's in competition with a guy who's exactly the opposite, i.e. what I just mentioned. And she agreed. And I said, well, sometimes you got to go hard. I know that people talked about when they go low, we go high. Okay, that was another administration. That sounds good. But the reality is we are in a situation, Roland, where we cannot afford to go light. We got to go hard, not to be overbearing, but we got to tell our story. And I said, maybe when y'all send out, you know, the loan reduction or elimination of student loan, maybe his name should go on the envelope to let folk know this is coming from the President of the United States, Joe Biden. And she said, well, there was a major discussion around that issue. And everybody didn't agree with it, but, you know, this is the way our president is. And I said to her, you know, sometimes you got to fight the way the other folk are fighting, not to get dirty like them, but to make it plain. Our people need to have stuff plain. That's why we said yesterday that the black media, and I spoke up for y'all, that the black media needs to be front and center. She agreed that we should not wait until 2 weeks before something big happens to send the information out. They need to be all during the course of this on point. I'm glad you were on Air Force 2 relative to coming in to be a part of this. And I got some good news for you, Roland, that you may not know. You mentioned earlier about home ownership, which has been the backbone of black economic development. Well, there was a study done recently by the University of Michigan here in the state of Michigan on the city of Detroit. A lot of people don't know this, but over the last few years, Detroit has seen the greatest increase in home value since 2014. Home values in 2014 were at $3.4 billion. In 2022, they rose to $6.2 billion. That's a major $2.8 billion jump in that time period. That's significant. And Roland, it happened in some of the most depressed communities that we have around the city. So I'm saying that all is not lost. And I agree with you. When people run around there talking and foaming at the mouth like nothing is happening, you're not checking out what's happening when it comes. And that's why what you do and what we try to do and others is so very, very, very important. People got to get the information, but at the same token, the people from the White House to your house and my house have got to tell the story, because the story is a good one. And the story is the best one right now that we got going for it.
It's a perfect example. On Sunday, South Carolina Senator Tim Scott was on NBC.
Oh, Lord, don't mention him. Lord have mercy. And he's an embarrassment, man. He's an embarrassment. Roland, come on, man.
Well,
he is a total embarrassment.
Well,
I just loves you. Come on, Roland.
Well, I got to play this because here's a perfect example. Here's a perfect example of lying. And Kristen Welker corrected him on one of his lies but there were multiple lies. And this is where, again, where I fundamentally believe White House should be firing back a hell of a lot harder. Listen to this.
You were there for what is being described as an audition to be a potential VP pick with former President Donald Trump. So let me just ask you, did you discuss with the former president the possibility of being his running mate, Senator?
No, man, what we talked about this weekend was how bad the economy is for single parents like the one that raised me. We had a lot of conversations around the room about the importance of eliminating Bidenomics, about the importance of getting inflation back down to 2%. We were just better off under President Trump. Inflation, Kristen, was at 2%, and we had the lowest unemployment rates for African Americans, for Hispanics, for Asians, a 70-year low for women. We had the highest funding for historically black colleges and universities in the history of the country under President Trump. So we were excited to have a conversation. We had no conversations about the VP pick, to be honest with you, to be clear, but we had a lot of conversations about the failures of Joe Biden and the success of Donald Trump.
A couple of points on the economy. Of course, the inflation rate has come down significantly from its high in 2022. In terms of black unemployment, it was actually at its lowest rate last year, 4.7% in April of 2023 as compared to 5.3% under 2019 with Donald Trump. But just to be very clear.
So first of all, Reverend Anthony, he sat there and said black unemployment right now is 6.4%. That's actually a lie. It's actually a lie. What happened was you had an uptick that took place in the month of March, but this is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The unemployment rate for African Americans, 5.6%. So right there, Tim Scott was lying. And so Kristen Welker did not correct him on that. And see, and this is the thing, but you said something, I'm gonna bring, in a second, I'm gonna bring in Larry and Randy in this. You said something that was critically important. When you said, you got some black folks in the hood and other places who have fallen for the okie doke because they're like, oh yeah, we had money in our pockets when Trump was there. No, fools, you had COVID.
Thank you.
COVID, nobody was working, nobody was flying, nobody was driving, nobody was shopping, there were no concerts, there was no nothing, and the only way to keep the economy from completely crashing was to put money in people's pockets. So massive amounts of money went out to help people pay for their rent. They had a halt on evictions to help folks pay for daycare, for food, all sorts of things. Here's the problem. We're now in 2024. A lot of those programs started going away in 2022, 2023, and now 2024. And what I keep telling those folks, don't think for a second, if Trump wins a second term, your ass gonna get money, because that ain't happening again. That was a every 100-year pandemic. Now, maybe if they around 100 years from now, they might see some money in their pocket, but that ain't happening again. That was COVID that put the money all around and increased unemployment benefits. That is not happening again. Don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe.
No, absolutely not. And quite frankly, your segment with Tim Scott, he was auditioning for vice president. That's why he did what he did. That's why he said what he said. And this cat, anybody that was appointed by the sitting governor, who is now running for the highest office in the land, and then you pearl on her, you act like she didn't make you what you are, senator in South Carolina, and you go and turn your back on her. That shows you right there what he's made of. And the fact that he would go with Donald Trump based upon what Donald Trump has done and where he is at this point, bespeaks of this situation. And reality is, when you just talked about the economy under Donald Trump and what he has or has not done for black folk. What he did for black folk was to say during the pandemic, why don't you shoot some Clorox in your body in order to eliminate the pandemic? Why don't we stop Dr. Fauci from telling you and giving you the scientific advice in terms of what you need to do? Why are we allowing 1 million people to die during the pandemic based upon our non-involvement in that situation. And so here we now have an opportunity to correct this and to bring something to the table for our people to take full advantage of it and to take us from here, and we're still hesitant. So it's a real situation that we have, and some of our people are going and taking it the easy route and going the easy way. Don't go for the okie doke. Don't go for the nonsense. Go for the real sense. Read, study, dig, ask somebody if you don't know. Just don't go because the guy wants to give you some gold gym shoes with their bottoms and to put himself behind some prison bars as if he is a victim rather than the victimizer, and showing that he can relate to you. Well, I guess what? Martin Luther King never put himself in prison behind no prison bars and say, I got a T-shirt for you. He never sold no gold gym shoes with red bottoms. Malcolm never did that. Nelson Mandela didn't sell no T-shirts with his picture on it saying, I'm just like you. Frederick Douglass didn't do it. Fannie Lou Hamer didn't do it. Even Jesus the Christ and Muhammad didn't do it. What the hell are you doing it for?
Indeed. Reverend Wendell Anthony, always a pleasure. I certainly appreciate you having you on the show.
You through with me, man?
Yeah, I'm through with you because, you know,
Come on, man.
You're going to pull that tissue paper out again. And so if I actually see you wearing that in public, you're going to get cussed out. All right, Doc.
Love you, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. I'm going to go to a break. We're going to come back. We're going to continue the conversation with Larry and Randy as well. Folks, we're breaking down exactly what Vice President Harris talked about yesterday because, again, other folk ain't covering this. And see, this is why we matter. We need to understand, folks, what's going on here. And I keep telling y'all this here. If y'all are waiting on mainstream media to talk about what we doing, y'all gonna be waiting a long damn time. A long time. I keep telling y'all, there are things that happen all the time with this vice president, that happen with this administration, that you never hear them talking about. I can't explain it, I don't understand, but it also says why black-owned media matters. Yesterday, it was a small crew with us on the plane with us. You had a brother who was a photographer for ABC, a black producer with ABC. But in terms of black-owned media, the only two were there were me and my man Nehemiah Frank from Black Wall Street Times. This is a photo of us on Air Force 2 yesterday. Both of us were on the plane. You look at his social media feed. Again, so we are walking you through what she talked about and the actual policies because those things matter. This is why you got to support black-owned media. You can support the Black Star Network. Send your check and money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037, 7-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back. Road to the White House. We got about 500 copies of the book available. And so this actually is all of the coverage of the 2008 election. But the other thing is this here. I talked to folks like Malik Yoba, Hill Harper, Erica Alexander, Kevin Lau, Spike Lee, Tatiana Ali. But there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff in here as well, where I talked about some of the stuff that went down at CNN. Also, when you go through here, a lot of the photos that you see in here, photos that I actually shot, photos that were my time at CNN. And so what I decided to do, because one, I published the book and I own it myself, is that so I said, you know what, I'm going to slash the price to $10. And so we're going to have shipping and handling, $5.99. I'm going to personally autograph every copy. I'm not reprinting the book. So once we are sold out of these 500, that's it. They're gone. So you can go to RolandSMartin.com/the first to get a copy of this book. Everybody who orders this book through the website, not on Amazon, only through RolandSMartin.com. I will personally autograph and mail you a copy of this book. It's all of the covers, the actual interviews that I did with him. And just to show you, of course, when it came out, there's actually even in here the interviews that I did with him and Michelle Obama, which won TV One Cable Network's his first 2 NAACP Image Awards. And so all of that for $10. Shipping and handling is $5.99. So go to RolandSMartin.com the first and order your copy today. When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
What's good, y'all? This is Doug E. Fresh, and you're watching my brother Roland Martin Unfiltered as we go a little something like this. Hit it. It's real.
All right, folks. So I'm going to play another bite from the speech yesterday before I go to Larry and Randy. In her speech, Vice President Harris also talked about capital access for African Americans.
We all know Black entrepreneurs do not lack for ideas or ambition, but often lack the capital that is necessary to turn an idea into a thriving business, to invest in inventory, hire employees, to scale up. In fact, Black entrepreneurs are 3 times as likely to not apply for a loan for fear they're going to be turned away from a bank. So 2 years ago, I founded the Economic Opportunity Coalition, a group of 31 companies and nonprofits, including, for example, the Bank of America, MasterCard, and the Ford Foundation, that are working currently to invest $3 billion in community banks. Banks which we know are uniquely designed to serve minority and women entrepreneurs. And this builds on the work that I did when I was a United States Senator in 2020 to invest $12 billion more in our community banks. Thank you.
So, Larry, all the folks who say she ain't doing nothing for black people, where you at?
Yeah, they're real quiet right now. And Roland, let's back up a little bit. I'm glad that you were on, you had a chance to travel with the VP Harris and talk about issues that are important to the black community. You and I both know that Michigan is going to be a critical state to see if the Biden-Harris administration can win re-election in November, particularly talking about these issues in terms of some of the challenges they may encounter with demographics, that 20 to 40-year-old group of black folks who we're hoping to go out in November and vote. But the Biden-Harris administration, their domestic policy has been excellent. She obviously talked about, you talk about the issues related to housing appraisals. The New York Times had a really good article about, how this negatively impacts black folks last year. And this is an ongoing issue to black folks who have been, been dealing with this issue for years. I think the other thing that's really important, you highlighted, the lowest black unemployment has ever been in terms of Department of Labor statistics of April of last year. That's a significant milestone as it relates to the economic health of not only the country, but in terms of black folks who usually have higher, unemployment numbers than whites in America, throughout U.S. history. So, and then talk about capital. And once again, black people, we have great ideas. but she's absolutely right. Frequently, the challenges are we just don't have the resources. And this is certainly connected. We talk about, the racial wealth gap, and a lot of that is connected to housing. So all these dominoes are connected, and they're particularly important, obviously, in the election year to talk about, all the things that the CHIPS and Science Act, the infrastructure bill, among all these other projects that have a significant impact on the African-American community. And one of the reasons why in April of last year, we saw a historic low as it relates to Black unemployment.
Randy, somebody in the chat says the bank turned me away and I have excellent credit. Well, this is where the community financial institutions matter. When you talk about those credit unions, you talk about those Black banks, that's what it boils down to. We know during COVID that the major banks were turning away Black business owners because many of those Black business owners had accounts with the banks, but they didn't have loans with them. And so the banks were helping out their folks who had much larger loans. All of that stuff, that's what we're talking about here. When we talk about that people don't understand. When you talk about those community financial institutions, when you talk about those Black banks, you gotta have people there who are advocating for them. That's money that goes to African Americans. That's money going to Black credit unions. And so for the people, again, who just run their mouths, man, ain't nothing happening, that's because you don't know how to Google.
Right. And you're just looking at what's flashy. We're looking at what you can easily see, the sparkly diamond in the sky. And one thing that Donald Trump does better than anybody else is that, he got that PIMP flair, and he likes to do things where he looks like he's rich and he looks like he's taking care of his people. But at the end of the day, he's pimping us. We are worth so much more. I mean, I always tell people, our price has got to elevate. We talk that man didn't give us that check, but even if he did, is that what we're worth? Is that that will buy your vote when he's done nothing to work on the economic strength?
All right, looks like Randy, you froze. Randy, hold on, you froze. Are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay, go ahead. You froze. Go ahead.
Okay. He to me, the way that he stereotypes Black people and says, oh, just give them a check, they'll be happy. Oh, you know what? Let me meet with the rappers, because the Black people will listen to this rapper. Let me sell gold tennis shoes, because the Black people will identify with that, or they will identify with me fighting the justice system. That is what he thinks of us. That is who he thinks that we are. And so how could we ever entrust our livelihoods, our democracy to this person? And, what I do wish is that, the Biden-Harris administration had a little pop, they would pop their collar some, because they are doing things, so many significant things that make a difference in our lives, like looking at appraisals, like the bank loan scandals, how they were not giving Black people bank loans, and that became public. They're hitting the areas that really make a difference in our long-term wealth and our significant wealth, but it doesn't get out there. Why? Because, again, systemic racism. The majority of media would much more focus on this call girl that Trump was with. I mean, I'm sad that I know that he didn't use a condom. I mean, I know that from today's news about Stormy Daniels saying that, and yet I didn't hear anything, if it were not for you, Roland, in shows like this, about this summit in Detroit. And so we have to go and look for our news and stop allowing others to shape and form our opinions.
Indeed. Just I'm gonna play this for y'all. So when I did that podcast, the conservative guy, Patrick Bet-David, which was quite interesting, doing his show. So when I jammed him up about the whole issue of appraisals, and so he was going on about systemic racism don't exist, all the usual stuff that they say and do, and so. Then he has his producer pull up this little video, and he's talking about, they were talking about defund the police and all the rest of this stuff like this. And so then when I jammed him up about home appraisals, it was amazing how quiet he got. And then he tried to suggest that, well, that's just anecdotal. But we've seen, and then of course, I pulled this story up that was in the New York Times that talked about those home appraisals. Do y'all have the video over there? Play it. When somebody's black selling their house, the appraisers will come in and literally give them a value $100,000 to $300,000 less because they're black. You know that that's actually happened, right?
You'll take one story and say that.
Oh my God!
On how many occasions has that happened?
Are you serious?
Do you think a message like
okay? Why don't you go ahead and Google? Why don't you go ahead and Google?
How many times has that happened? No, I believe it's happened, but how many times has that happened?
The New York Times literally just did a story talking about the systemic racism that exists within housing appraisals. This is a fundamental problem. I'm trying to see you're living in a different reality.
What progress are you making by saying that?
What progress?
So what you're doing?
I'm trying to end that. Okay. Do you know how inherent? Okay, hold on. You said you're Middle Eastern, right?
You're trying to.
Hold on. You said you're Middle Eastern, right?
I am. Yes.
How would you feel? How would you feel?
Yes.
If you're selling your home, you've got a home that you know,
right?
And you put upgrades in it, and you know your home is worth $500,000.
Yeah.
And somebody comes into your home, and they see your photos,
right?
And they see your family, and then they go back and they go $350,000. You go, what the hell?
So you tell that story.
Wait, one second.
To get people to be convinced that that's happening.
It's actually
out of 1,000 appraisals.
Oh my God.
Out of 1,000 appraisals, how many times has that happened? Out of 1,000 appraisals, how many times has that happened?
You want to pull that up? You want him to pull that up?
That's your world, though. Out of 1,000 appraisals, how many times has that happened? Let's just say it happens.
It is a significant issue in America.
Oh my God!
And wait, one second. And then when the woman, a black person should not have to remove their photos from the wall and remove black art and remove black books to have a white appraiser then come in and go, oh, it's actually $550. One second, because I'm going to show you how it impacts generationally.
Here we go.
So when you, follow me here, because this is housing in America. When you then get that lower appraisal, you then cannot sell your house for the higher value, which then means you are not then taking those proceeds and being able to invest, being able to send your kids to school. And what I'm trying to explain to you is there is a world out here that for some reason you're like living in Unity world that ain't the real America.
Brother, I'm
trying to get rid of that stuff.
You have the wrong guy here. You have the wrong guy.
I'm trying to get rid of it.
Okay, good for you. I am as well, but you have the wrong guy here. And here's what I mean by that. So when you ask the question, what do you do if they appraise your house $350,000 less, right? That's your question. Okay. I don't see myself as a victim. I stopped looking at myself as a victim a long time ago. And by the way, being Armenian and Assyrian, you know what a lot of people in the Armenian community do? You know what a lot of people in the Armenian community do? They sell victimhood mentality. I'm raised with that, which is the statement of mechka. I know you don't know what the word mechka means. Mechka means, oh, poor Roland. Oh, poor PBD. I don't see myself as a victim. And the other part is when you use one story as an example to divide and get people even angrier, because out of 1,000 appraisals, this happened one time, I don't think you're unifying when you say a statement like that to say, hey, this is what's taking place all the time. But going back to it, so you left because you wanted better economic situation for yourself.
Listen to what you just said again.
I'm having a hard time listening to what you just said when you're saying
it's so fundamentally flawed because when you say, oh my God, you see yourself as a victim.
You do.
No.
You're selling it as a victim.
No, I'm not. What I'm selling is a reality. What I'm selling is when this is again, since you didn't, I guess you couldn't pull it up. Okay.
Oh, he did pull it up.
Okay, the Biden administration, the Federal Housing and Finance Agency released 47 million appraisal reports to the public for the first time. The appraisals, which were compiled between 2013 and 2021, present evidence of a persistent, widespread practice in the home appraisal industry to give higher values to homes when the occupants are white and devalue them if the owners are people of color.
That's such bullshit. That's such bullshit. You know why?
Hold up.
Let me tell you why that's such bullshit.
They actually took the reports and showed the data, and now you call it bullshit.
Of course I call it bullshit.
So you asked for the data and the facts.
No.
And now you give your opinion because you don't like the facts.
Bro.
Come on, man.
Do you run a company?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so when you run a company, how much shit can I find in the OpEx? How much
in the what?
With OpEx. When I go into my balance sheet and I look at my expenses, my monthly expenses, what I'm paying for, rent, employees, benefits, workers' comp, I can give a number and say, we lost $280,000 this year. And it's like, oh my God, we lost $280,000. And then I open up the balance sheet and then boom, I'll see you're moving your face like you don't know what I'm talking about.
First of all,
when I see a data like this, tell me the whole story. To jump to conclusion with something like this without seeing the entire story is ludicrous to make a comment like that. But
analyzing the millions of appraisals by using census tracts as a proxy for neighborhoods and comparing communities with nearly identical housing stock, two researchers found that the results showed a clear correlation. The higher the proportion of white residents in each community, the higher the appraised value of individual homes. They compared similar data. See, again, you want to reject the facts. And what I'm trying to explain to you is
I am refusing to constantly have people give data without me having access to the entire thing just for their own benefit to divide
So what you're saying is, in order for you need access to the 47 million home appraisals.
I'd love to see
yourself.
I would love to see it.
Okay, guess what? It's a federal agency. File a FOIA.
I'd love to see it.
File a FOIA.
But here's file a what?
A FOIA.
Okay, so I'd love to see it. You know why? Here's the part. How often do you see data being used and we don't know the whole story? Both sides. How often?
See, right there, Larry, that's that bullshit.
Yeah, man. Listen, you more patient than me, and bless your soul, because, listen, who has time for that kind of nonsense? Listen, Roland, we don't need this New York Times study, which you and I both mentioned today, or Brookings report. There are literally numerous reports written by not just, the federal government or state government, but academics like myself talk about systemic racism in the housing department. Listen, we could talk about redlining. We could talk about blockbustering. There's a long history of Black folks in this country suffering because of housing discrimination. It is not new. So, look, when you presented the empirical data, not the anecdotal data, when you presented the empirical data, he still didn't want to hear it. The bottom line is you went on there, you could have had 5 million reports. He's being disingenuous anytime he tells me he wants to look at all these millions of reports. He's not a data analyst. So he doesn't even have the capability to, as a researcher, to analyze all this quantitative data and use the methods necessary to see that there's a relationship between being Black and white in America when it comes to housing.
Randy,
he didn't have a skill set.
Right. And what you see here, Randy, and he's a MAGA supporter, a Trump supporter, and let me be clear, to all of the Black people who are considering the couch, let me be clear, the Trump administration didn't do a damn thing about home appraisals. That $162 billion, they don't care. So y'all go right ahead, those of y'all who considering let's vote for him, and those of y'all who are saying, man, I ain't sitting here voting for Joe Biden. Okay, then you're gonna have a Republican administration that does not give a damn about discrimination in home appraisals. And so when you can't sell your house for the highest value, please, by all means, then suck on your MAGA candy. Randy, go ahead.
Again, yeah, you do have the patience of Job, because I was sitting there just, but I want to fight. No, his cognitive dissonance is unbelievable. He doesn't want to know the truth, so he's deciding to completely ignore it. We all know that this has been an issue. I don't know a Black person. I know when I sold my home, I took down all of my Black art because I wanted to get top dollar. And we pass that advice through our community because it's a fact that we live with. Yes, it's anecdotal, but we also have, like we said, these studies that show the truth, but he doesn't want to know the truth. And that is, it holds us back so much from making progress in this country. That's the biggest way that we build up wealth is through home ownership. But between being denied loans, having higher rates on loans, then not being able to sell our homes for what they're worth, it just shows how we continue to be victimized, although we are not victims. I hate how they try to manipulate us and say that we're weak when we speak about the truth of the situation and circumstances that we face in this country. We're the absolute opposite. I believe that why people are so scared of us is because we are victimized, but still are not victims and keep pushing and pushing on. But he just said that man didn't want to know the facts.
He did not. All right. Now, I caught up yesterday with Congressman Stephen Horsford, who is the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. He's also, of course, a congressman out of Nevada. And here's what he had to say about the tour the vice president is going on. All right, Congressman, talk about how critically important the message the vice president delivery is for the black community.
We're so excited to be joining forces with Vice President Kamala Harris, centering black economic prosperity and wealth as part of the Economic Opportunities Tour that she's leading. This is work that we are partnering with her on through the Congressional Black Caucus and our Black Wealth Agenda. We have 100% of the CBC members who have sponsored the legislation centering housing, entrepreneurship, workforce and training, health, education, and the environment, as well as the cornerstones of our democracy. And it's our opportunity to have our voice heard this November at the ballot box.
All right, folks, Quentin James is co-founder of the Collective PAC. Their goal is to get more black folks elected to office. He was also in Detroit yesterday.
All right, Quentin, how critical is it, we've talked about this before, how critical is it for what the VP is doing, speaking specifically to the economic concerns of African Americans and taking it on the road?
Oh man, it's critical. We're hearing everywhere. People want to see and hear more from the administration. What have they done for our communities? And this is example one of getting to a place like Detroit and telling that story, right? Talking about the record, talking about the impact on our communities. And so this, I think, is really important to do this early on this year and not later on in the fall. So I'm excited.
One of the things that the VP also made clear is letting people know where to access resources, because that's the one thing people hear. They don't know where to find the stuff.
Exactly. We call it clickable policy, right? Where can you click on something and access it, whether it's student loan reform, whether it's access to getting fast, reliable internet for cheap. We want to make sure folks have connection to policy. And again, being here in Detroit today, she's talking about that, which is awesome.
Cool. Now, we were on our way there to the Charles Wright Museum, but first we stopped by the Joe Louis Southern Kitchen. And in the way in, I get a chance to chat with the Lieutenant Governor of Michigan, Gilchrist. And before, the Vice President came in and talked to the owners of the restaurant as well. So I want to roll that for you. Check this out.
Yep.
Lieutenant Governor, how you doing?
Sir? Over here with one of my favorites, one of the GOATs here, Roland Martin.
How you feel about the VP in town?
I'm always happy to have my Vice President here in my hometown of Detroit. Happy to have you here too, sir.
Oh, you know,
we're going to be talking about economic empowerment, all the good things that we're doing in Michigan, leveraging federal programs for the black community, black entrepreneurs, and it's how we're changing lives and changing futures.
All right. They got us inside. They got us inside.
Right.
All right, well, you got us.
We want to bring the order out. They told me to hold on the order.
How you doing?
Where are we? Where is she picking up the order?
How's it going?
How you doing? Hey, bro.
All good?
Brothers. All right.
How you doing?
How you doing?
How's it going?
Where's it?
All good? Where you gonna have us?
Right on this side.
Cool.
what's going on? Are y'all good? Hey, how you doing? Y'all good? How's it going? What's up, bro? You got the right hat on. You from H-Town? Hey, what's happening? What's up, Doc? How's it going? All right. Y'all good? Yes, sir. All right, cool. Hey, what's happening? Y'all good? How you doing? How's it going? I appreciate it. How you doing? You're good. All good? Hey, how you doing? You good?
They're going to wait for you so we should.
Oh, I'm ready. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, people see my name. Hey, how y'all doing? She's gonna look at it, I guess. Coming straight down. You got the special Astros hat. All right.
How it's set up over here. This is actually a franchise. We're building a franchise.
Hello. I'm sorry that you
Wondering where you were, man. You all right? Yes. Well, my partner Keith, he did design. Not the actual one. Yeah, it's a good reference. Yes. You bring a really good theme. It's a theme. It's a thing all the way. It's in the restroom. Yeah, it's actually a franchise. Lieutenant Governor here by opening. Good to see you again as well. Definitely.
Sweet. What's your name? Come here and shake my hand. Shake my hand. Come on.
How you doing? I got you.
How long have you been open?
We opened 2 years ago. Actually, it'll be 3 years in the next 2 months. Yes, so it's been 3 years.
You know, I'm here to highlight businesses like yours. I'm obviously here to highlight your business,
yes.
But to talk about the importance
No, you're good.
of investing in leaders like you who have a vision. Look at
Good,
this
Doc.
beautiful vision, how it's laid out. But who need access to resources, right? So access to capital, access to the information about what loans are available, access to often just the skills that are necessary to grow, to start a business and grow a business.
No question about it. I can
So while we have all these cameras, tell me what is one of the keys in terms of starting and running a small business, in terms of the kind of support you need?
You know, wow. I mean, ultimately, it's, of course, capital has helped you set up the infrastructure, which is basically to be able to hire the best managers, first and foremost, because you put good systems together, and ultimately you need great people to run those systems.
Right.
And so for me, it's having to access, most people start off with not enough capital, and therefore they kind of shoot themselves in the foot with not being able to hire the right people, have the right services to keep a clean establishment, and more importantly, just bring the good people in and be able to pay a decent wage.
That's right.
And so for me, it's getting the capital, trying to build this brand exactly to a franchise model, and ultimately we're looking to hire and pay a little bit above, of course, what the average pay is for servers, and more importantly, just get engaged with the community. And so for me, you know, having the capital to expand the brand, to be able to take this good food all over the country, ideally, as a franchise model. And we're doing it with the spirit of Joe Louis. And so we know Joe Louis stood for the people, and he was a uniter. And so ultimately, Joe Louis Jr., who was my partner, that's our goal, is ultimately go to each city and be a part of the community and bring jobs, you know, bring mentorship. I love talking to the youth. So, you know, things of that nature. So the capital is very important for everyone when they're starting a business.
So what I hear you talk about too, and Joe Louis was a part of it, he was for empowerment.
Yes, he was. Most definitely was.
For the people.
Yes, he was, for the people.
And fighting to make sure that we had access to what people need to succeed, to thrive.
I thought he would get his shirt off his back to do so. And history has shown he would give. And I'll tell you, his son is exactly like him. He gives. And me, I'm a little bit more, hey, let's do it structurally, strategically. But ultimately, if we got to get a return on investment first to get you, so we can scale. And ultimately, that's what it's about. It's ultimately bringing consultants. And that's really what the capital is great, too, because it allows you to hire different consultants. You know, whether it's tax attorneys, whether it's business attorneys, and things that get your infrastructure tight.
That's right.
Therefore, you can see how you can scale and invest in marketing.
You know, that's one of the reasons I've been focused also on community business, to help entrepreneurs know how to structure a business model, right, and have a business plan. Because having the great idea is not enough if you don't have the business plan, right?
1,000%, yes, so true. And that's where capital comes in as well. And a lot of it is lack of knowledge for us. You know, when I first started, I had a restaurant around the corner in 03, and I sustained for 16 years as the city revitalized. So to see where we are now in Detroit is, I'm proud, you know, and ultimately still be here and be a part of the revitalization and see all the businesses in the neighborhood. And ultimately, capital is a big access, you know, and Midtown Detroit here was a big, for the startup of Midtown and Lucid. You know, I did shout out to her. She was a visionary, and she stood next to me and made sure I had everything. And ultimately, that's where we're still. It's a pleasure to meet you today, and ultimately everyone else. And looking forward. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yes.
We're gonna pick up our food.
Gotcha. That's the most important thing. Okay, we go this way.
We're out? Oh, okay. Gotcha. Oh, okay. All right, folks, and just so y'all know, they actually, so she came out with some shrimp and grits, and they actually bought dinners for everybody who was on Air Force 2. So when we got back on the plane, fly back to D.C., we had, of course, food from the restaurant there as well. See, so this is the thing. Your final comment from Randy and Larry. So obviously, again, talking to him about the business, and for the people again who love to complain, they say, "Oh, photo op." Well, obviously that's the whole point as well. But the reality is, you're gonna eat. You're gonna buy food from somewhere. So why not actually do it from a black-owned restaurant? And so for the people who love to complain, this is exactly what folks should do. And when you talk about economic revitalization, this impacts black restaurants, black barbers. It impacts all types of black-owned businesses. And the only way we're able to change is we're able to build capacity and grow our businesses.
Yeah, absolutely, Roland. And really quickly here, you know, you're talking about the impact on the Black business ecosystem, right? You just described that. So it's this trickle down effect it has in the Black community. So I'm glad they outlined their policies that impact the Black community, and then followed up by supporting the Black business and also feeding you folks on your way back to DC.
Randy.
Well, first, I pray that you didn't put sugar on your grits when you got on Air Force Two.
Actually, if I had gotten some sugar and grits, you damn right I would have put sugar on them. But I did not. I had a turkey leg and some rice and dressing. So they had different orders. But you damn Skippy, that would have been sugar on my grits had I gotten some shrimp and grits. And I don't care what you gotta say, what my daddy gotta say, and what anybody else got to say.
Anyway, we'll just go over that. But
no, you the one brought it up. See,
I was praying. I said,
don't open no can unless you prepared for that can of whip ass to jump out.
I was just hoping you weren't on there disrespecting the culture. So I'm glad.
I don't give a damn. Disrespecting the culture. Oh, y'all, man, you better go on with that little nonsense. Go on, come on, bougie, come on, go on. Make your little comment.
It was spectacular that she showed up. Regardless if people call it a photo opportunity, it absolutely brings visibility to the business, which is what she was there to do. So I think it was fantastic. And talking business and showing people that Black people do own businesses and we need to stay in business and we're connected to our vice president and she's connected to us.
So I had to play this video here. So yesterday when I walked into the Charles Wright Museum, had an opportunity I took a bunch of selfies with some folks, and I ran into this sister right here. She was a former police commissioner in Detroit. Where'd I put her card? I just had it. Okay. Here it is. Bernice Smith Pettis, y'all. Political activist, former police commissioner. Lord, Bernice 91. And let's just say Bernice was on fire. So you watch the show?
Yeah, hell yeah, every night. I get notes from you. You call in everybody and his mama. And I just take notes, especially about Trump. Oh my God. Look at Roland Martin, y'all. Roland Martin.
So what do you think about the vice president coming?
She late.
Well, I know she. No. We stopped by a Black-owned restaurant.
Oh, no wonder.
Yeah.
Huh?
We stopped by a restaurant.
It's okay. I'm 91 years old, Roland, and I can't wait too long. I'll be 92 May 31st.
All right. Well, you're looking good.
I love you. I've been watching you for years. Really.
I appreciate it.
I'm serious.
I appreciate it.
I get all my notes from you, and that's what I'm going to use when I go on the campaign.
All right.
I'm going to talk about what you say, because I know you're telling the truth.
That's it, all day.
I'm telling you, you ain't going to lie. Not to us.
That's it.
You might lie to somebody else, but you ain't going to lie to us. I love you, baby.
I appreciate it.
I'm so happy to see you.
Good to see you.
And it's good for you to come to this city.
Indeed. See, Randy, she don't mind my sugar on my grits. Nah. That's why your video keep freezing, because you won't listen to me when they give you the doggone advice on how to properly do your live hit. But see, you're hard-headed, see? That's why you're hard-headed on the sugar on grits. Anyway, let me thank Randy, let me thank Larry for being on today's show. Appreciate all y'all being on the show. Appreciate y'all enjoying today's look back. Again, the reason I wanted to unpack it, we covered some of this stuff yesterday, but I really wanted to purposely unpack this, because the problem is, again, mainstream media. If y'all are relying on ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News for stuff that matters to us, y'all gonna be waiting. Y'all gonna be waiting. And so not only did we break this thing down yesterday and today, we live streamed yesterday's speech. You can see it. Not only that, we had, of course, the interview that I did with the deputy administrator of the Small Business Administration. That was on the tarmac yesterday after we got off of the plane. I've already loaded this video on my YouTube, on the Instagram page. We're gonna put it on all social media. Our goal here, y'all, real simple. Our goal here is to keep you informed about what is happening. People go I ain't know this was going on. I didn't know this thing was happening, because you're listening to mainstream media. Yesterday's trip is a perfect example why black-owned media matters. Now, I wasn't in Atlanta last week. I don't know if I'm going to be in Milwaukee next week. They might invite me. I don't know who's going to be on the plane, who's covering it. But here's what I do know. They damn sure better have some coverage of her speech. They better be talking to the people who are on the ground. Y'all, things are not going to change until we begin to recognize, as the nation's first black newspaper, Freedom's Journal, said, we wish to plead our own cause, too long have others spoken for us. And this is not just applying to Vice President Kamala Harris. This applies to the Congressional Black Caucus, black folks in the United States Senate, mayors, governors, state reps, state senators. We had the sheriff of Mecklenburg County on. And guess what? Out of all the black media out here, we're the only ones with the Daily Show. Not TV One, not BET, not Revolt, not Byron Allen's The Griot, not Aspire, not any of these people. Not Ebony, not Jet, not Essence, not Black Enterprise, not Blavity. None of these folks are doing what we are doing. Your support is critical. The folks who are watching on YouTube, y'all should be hitting that doggone like button. We should be at 1,000 likes. You can contribute. You can get badges and other things on our YouTube channel. You can get subscriptions on our Facebook page. But if you want to support this show, support directly by joining our Bring the Funk fan club. Send your check and money orders to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered, PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland@RolandSMartin.com, Roland@RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. A lot of y'all have been sending me emails. I am autographing, packaging all the books. The first 100, I'm going to go out tomorrow. I'm actually physically taking them to the post office. And so if you want to support this show, I've cut the price. Again, we've got about 500. I called my brother. I'm double checking to see if I left any at his house in Houston. I might, so there may be some additional books, but I got 500 at my house. So you can, for $10 and $5.99 shipping and handling, I'm personally autographing the first President Barack Obama's road to the White House, as originally reported by Roland S. Martin. That money goes right back into the show. If you get our pocket squares at RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares, that money goes back into the show. Then also my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. You can get the audio version of Audible. That money goes back into the show as well. And so we are building something here with this show and this network, because I'm tired of us complaining about people not covering what we do. This is about taking matters into our own hands. And y'all see, we look just as good as the rest of the networks. Camera quality, graphics. Look, that shot yesterday, standing right there in front of Air Force 2, hey, made no difference between it being us, some other network. And so here's what I need our people to understand. We know what we can do, but we also got to support. We got to support and make it happen, so you can make that possible. So again, please join our Bring the Funk fan club. And of course, we honor our donors. Every Friday, we run the names. We would love to add thousands of more names to that list, because our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing on average $50 each a year, $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day to support what we're doing. Last time I'm going to show you, you can give to our Bring the Funk fan club. Check and money order, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland@RolandSMartin.com, Roland@RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And shout out to Wilberforce University. I called you the graduation on Saturday, and so I'm rocking the Wilberforce shirt today on the show. And I told y'all, I only wear gear of HBCUs that I personally visited and or spoken at. So I think I'm up to now 59 of the nation's 107 HBCUs. And so if I ain't wore your school's HBCU, one, maybe your school didn't give me any gear, or two, y'all didn't invite a brother. So shout out to Wilberforce, Dr. Van Newkirk. Folks, that's it. I'll see y'all tomorrow right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Holla! Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?